This time on the Highland Woodworker.
And your ideas can come from anywhere, from nature itself or Christmas cards, birthday cards.
It's woodworking on many levels. Master woodcarver Randy Walters gives us a tour of his relief carvings and shows us how he does it.
It's fun when you can create a hollow place and people say, how did you get that in there?
Plus, do you work with patterns in your shop? Popular Woodworking shows us an appealing trick on how to take them off after the cut. All of this and more, this time on the Highland Woodworker. Hello, I'm Charles Brock and I'm a Highland Woodworker. I just love Highland Woodworking in Atlanta, Georgia. And I love highlandwoodworking.com right there on my computer. Highland Woodworking provides me with all the best brands, all the great service, no matter if I go to the store or if I order right from my computer and have it delivered to my door. When it comes to wood carving, Randy Walters does it all, from detailed sculptures to crafty walking canes like these. But there's a specific style that Randy cuts out most of his time for, and that's relief carving. These dimensional designs add depth and interest to his detailed artwork. Let's go to Randy's workshop in Columbia, Tennessee, take a tour of his work and learn how he does it in our moment with a master. Randy Walters.
Glad to meet you, Charles. I'm sure appreciate it.
This is just amazing. This is like the Randy Walters Carving Museum
Well,
almost
it's
here.
on my own little gallery. I can enjoy it without too much hassle that way. You're right.
Well, it's a great gallery. I tell you what, I am drawn to almost each and every one of them. I'm really drawn, first of all, to this.
Right.
There must be a story here.
There's quite a bit of story on it. It actually happened on the eve of 9/11. And I was coming home from my folks' house, and my mother had given me a book called National Geographic, and on the front of it had that eagle head. Mm-hmm. And with it come up through there, I can't think of the artist's name that was singing, but it was a heart pulling song that he was doing about 9/11.
Uh-huh.
And I got home, I thought, I have got to, took a flag and I started bending it and pinning it to get some ripples and stuff in it and everything.
Yeah, to get
It
the
worked out
folds.
good. Oh, yeah.
And now, this is a type of carving. What do you call
It's
this?
called relief carving. So it's carved in one piece of wood. I mean, there's no additions to this in this particular piece.
It's beautiful. It says so much, but they all do. I mean,
thank you.
yeah, we've got seems a lot of cabins and
Oh, yeah.
and maybe
Yeah.
farms here and.
You can even throw an eagle into it too. He's over in the sky towards you and making the feeling that you can see the distance in between all the mountains and the cabins behind him and everything.
You like trains too,
Oh,
I
I
can
love
tell.
trains. Love trains. And it was actually the idea from that came from a scene in my grandson's bedroom where he had a train on the wall and stuff. So I was able to take that and add a few things to it, and add the western scene and the tracks, just anything to make it challenging.
And some of them are painted also.
It just depends on the circumstances. A lot of people, when they want to carve it, they just like to have it, but been able to paint. And a lot of the paints are acrylic, and they're watered down. I might say earth tones. I don't like colors that are just real bright.
Right.
But it's the earth tones themselves. It depends on the carving. For instance, this is right here. This one would be with the background in the grass and all that kind of stuff. So just to give it a little bit of faded look on the barn, which it would be on that part.
What got you started with carving in general?
It's hard. It's really hard to say whatever, pinpoint it completely. But I used to walk in the woods all the time. Of course, at that time, you could carry a knife. You know, you could carry a knife. Well, I still carry one. It's a tool. It's not a weapon. And I would find little pieces of wood to carve on, maybe a little crook or something like that. It kind of escalated from that. And I guess I was about 12 years old, and when my uncle sent me a set of X-Acto tools, little old wooden box with a couple little chisels and stuff in it, a handle. So it's kind of escalated from there, and just learning how to do that, to learn how to carve, and just try by trial and error. See something, try to copy it. I am a visual person. I have to see something, but being able to see your perspective and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so you kind of visualize elements.
Yeah.
And then you decide on the composition of those elements and what you want to say.
Right. It's fun to do that, to develop that. And the main thing is I love teaching other people or instructing other people how to do it, how to accomplish what they need to do. And your ideas can come from anywhere, from nature itself or Christmas cards, birthday cards.
Yeah.
And because there's a lot of things that have been out, people say, well, now, I can't draw. Well, you don't have to draw. You can trace. You can go to a place that will duplicate some of your drawings. There's catalogs out there that you can get. The artists have already designated some of the things, and they got their dimensions just right for animals, have to be a certain way. So you're able to use them and put things together. So it's fun.
Randy, it looks like you work in basswood and slabs of basswood.
Yes, I do.
And you've got to use some power tools in order to get your relief set. So you start out with
just a solid blank, which I've already got planed down to the thickness that I want. And with my pattern stuff on there, figuring out where the rim is, or the frame, if I want to put a frame or everything on there, that kind of stuff. So once it's kind of drawn out there, then I set it up in this area here to.
So this is recessed.
It is recessed. It's adjustable because you never know the thickness of your wood, where you're going to end up, where it's 1.5 inches or 2 inches or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And if it's narrower than it is, you just put a spacer block in and go from there. So this one's already done, but the process is the same, keeping it locked in, keeping it from moving, because the thing will go.
So you want this to be flush all the way around.
Right, because when you're using the router, you're going to be going all over the solid wood itself. So when you come off to the edges and everything, it keeps it that way. All right, in order to do my straight lines around my frame and everything, I set up a little jig here with the guide I have and lock it down. And the router itself would fit right in here. Once it's locked down and straight, then I can continue to move this thing back and forth till I get till I want the depth, the depth I want.
Right.
And that start on that. Now for depth, rather than trying to make your adjustments here, and some of them are in increments and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Which blows my mind. 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/8, fine. But when it gets into 15, 16ths and try to do that, so I just I fix me a piece of oak with the different depths on, take my router bit and run down in there. Then all I have to do then, if I want to change depth, is set it on there, make my adjustment, lock it down, and I can go.
Oh, how simple.
It is. It just saves a lot of time. And if I had to go back and do something, I've already got my depth already set.
You're really a hybrid wood carver.
Well, you could say that. I'll use anything I get my hands on to carve, from a chainsaw to a penknife. It doesn't make me any difference.
That's the true artist I have found. There's no way to stop you once you have a vision.
Right.
You want to get there.
Right.
And you have found a way to get there.
Well, I do. Even this little rig right here, it's so simple, but it's a track out of a ceiling, drop ceiling. That's what it is. There's something out there, I'm sure, that could be bought. But hey, I like making things.
Well, show me where the magic
All right,
takes
come on
place.
in. Come on in here. It's safe, a safe place to go. Over here we got what we usually do is when I'm teaching, I have to study boards or go-bys.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sounds crazy, but for instance, a log cabin, which would be this one right here, the procedure that you got to go through is like laying it out, of course. Then each item is designated. How do we get the roof, the pitch on the roof, and the pitch on the angles on the chimney, and the bricks, laying the not bricks but logs, how to lay them out. Because this sounds confusing, but the A log goes across and the butt end of it is on that side and the B log's on this side. And if you write them down, it keeps you in perspective. Otherwise, you got logs laying on top of logs and they don't work that way. Here's one, the other one. What we do here is a little joy here. And we mark it out, do the same stencil again, and then it's called low relief on that, which works out pretty good. I know this.
That's nice. And I also like the way you can use that to hold the work.
Right, because you got this in your lap. What are you going to do with it? I mean, it's not square. I'll show you something else over here too that we normally use. We call lap boards that we carve on. You can actually put this in your lap. It's per se. That's what they're really calling it. That way you do not harm anything. It shouldn't be harmed. On that part, so you can actually carve in your lap with this board right here. So,
and this is kind of a fence back here
it is
to
that,
keep it from sliding
and
forward.
if you're on a table, this catches it the other way.
Yeah. So it's a bench hook or it's a lap board. Wow.
So you can actually turn it around, and that keeps it coming this direction.
Well, this is where I think the real detail carving starts, and there's your easel.
Yeah.
And later in the show, you're going to show us how all this comes together and how you use it.
I'll do the best I can. Right. It's one of those things. I mean, I might get started and forget to quit. So
The show might run long.
There you go.
Coming up, we'll head back to Randy's Tennessee workshop for a relief carving lesson that some may call in-depth. Plus, Popular Woodworking Magazine has a sticky solution to a common pattern problem. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Highland Woodworker.
I'm just an average, down-to-earth woodworker. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably about a 5. But one place I score a perfect 10 is right here, and I plan on keeping all 10. That's why I have a SawStop table saw. And there's more. Plenty of power, superior dust collection, and absolute accuracy. These features have made it the best-selling cabinet saw in America. Let Highland Woodworking help you put a SawStop in your shop.
There's 4 words that Lee Tools lives by. 4 words that mean quality joinery to take your projects to the next level. Whether it's dovetails, box joints, or mortise and tenon. And we'll even help you clean up. Those 4 words: better tools, better results.
Meet the Bora Centipede, the lightweight and portable workshop table that supports up to 3,000 pounds. stores in a small space for tight shops, and opens into a work table to bring your work to a comfortable height. This makes the perfect companion for your track saw. Comes with X cups and hold downs to secure your work. Just add the Boro workbench top and you've got a great auxiliary table anywhere in your shop. Upgrade your shop today.
As you probably already know, when you're using paper patterns to cut out workpieces, spray adhesive is a great solution. You can spray it right on the paper and stick them down in place. The problem is when you go to remove them. Usually it's quite the mess. You can try scraping them, you can try sanding them, you can try mineral spirits. No matter what, it's going to take a little effort to get them off. But one of our readers, Dan Martin, had a great solution. What he does is he puts down a layer of painter's tape or masking tape, and then he uses the spray adhesive to stick down the paper pattern. That way when you get the piece all cut out, it's pretty easy to come back, get underneath that painter's tape, and you can peel that off and the pattern comes right up with it. So it's a great solution to save a little time down the road.
Well, if you're like me, you love working a beautiful piece of wood. But a beautiful piece of wood like this live edge walnut here, it not only has bark and dust and dirt, as I work it, it has wood dust. It will make just mounds of wood dust. I do not want to breathe those in. I have found over the years that I really have a little bit of a reaction to walnut dust and get a little rash. So when I can, which is about 90% of the time, I like to wear a dust mask, and I always have eye protection. Well, there is a product out that is the Elipse Integra dust mask with eye protection. What I like about it, compared to most full face shields and mask combinations, is it's small, it's lightweight. It does the job of protecting your eyes and filtering out those damaging dust particles that can get into your lungs. It also has a valve that's built in that as you breathe out, it keeps your glasses from fogging, which is just a wonderful thing, especially if you've fought that battle before. They come in two different sizes. There's a standard size, and then there's a larger size. Now, that's important especially to me because I have a little more of a big head. And I went to the Highland Woodworking website and I looked at the information there that helped me size this mask for me. Take a look at the Elipse Integra dust mask with eye protection, the P100. I think you're really gonna like it. I think it'll make you smile. Coming up, Randy Walters teaches us how to stay on track when carving. Now, that's a relief. Stay with us. You're watching the Highland Woodworker. Highland Woodworking stocks a wide selection of Rikon power tools, known for their innovative design and rugged durability. Highland has sold thousands of Rikon's industry-leading bandsaws with sizes to fit every woodworking need, from the compact affordable 10-inch model to competitively priced 14 and 18-inch models. Shop us also for Rikon's reliable planers, lathes, and professional low-speed grinder, all with an exceptional 5-year warranty. Rikon Power Tools. Whiteside Machine Company has been in business for over 30 years, providing customers with quality router bits. Fine Woodworking Magazine has declared Whiteside router bits best overall and best value when compared against 17 other brands. No matter the router application, they have the type and profile of carbide router bit you need. When you put a Whiteside router bit to work in your shop, it is guaranteed to make you smile. If you can't make it to Highland Woodworking in Atlanta, Georgia, you can shop online at highlandwoodworking.com. They're great at getting what you want to your shop quick. Let Highland's legendary wood slicer resaw blade help make it easy for you to get great results sawing thick lumber into thinner boards. The wood slicer is designed to cut much faster, smoother, and quieter than ordinary bandsaw blades. You'll be amazed at how smooth a surface you'll get with a wood slicer. Its variable tooth pattern greatly reduces noise and vibration. Order a wood slicer from Highland Woodworking for your bandsaw today.
When I do something like this, I take the pattern, then I make a puzzle out of it. As much as for me as for students that need to know, each individual item is laid out here, so you don't have to, people say, I can't draw. Well, you don't have to draw. If you can copy something or trace it, they have tracing paper and all that. What I do here is you can be able to lay this out, and you can repeat it every time. It'd be the same, because sometimes as you have a tendency to draw yourself and you carve on it, it becomes smaller. So you got to be careful with that. So by keeping the pattern the same, it has an idea to keep it in the right dimensions and stuff. Then it's again with chisel selection on that part right here. First thing I would do here would be create the barrel itself, the barrel of the train, which is the biggest item. Again, carve it in a circle. You've got different angles here also. You've got the front, it's got the front of the train, which will be this direction. So that's got to be laid out. Once that's established, then you establish your light. It's got to be the same angle as that is. And you've got two different angles going back. The light itself is coming back. You've got gouge marks, but these will take care of themselves in due time. And behind the light is your smokestack. And when it does, it lays down on top of the barrel, not just doesn't stick down in there completely. So then you got to be aware of that.
So you've got to make a stop there.
You've got to make a stop, exactly right. Then as you're rounding the barrel of the stack, it's wider than it is shown. That makes sense. So then you got to think about that. So your center line is not here. It's not right here. It's actually behind this. So you got to think about that as you're making this round. You got to come from here over to here, and from there over to there, and keep it round. Otherwise, it looks like a piece of pipe sticking up rather than that. Same with anything that's on top of this will be round in the center. You take a center cut of everything, a center mark, to keep everything in perspective on that part. All right, now this sounds funny, but the cow catcher, which is here, always keep it last. Now the reason why, because as I'm laying my rails and everything in, the rails could shift, and if you put the center line of your cow catcher in between two tracks and they don't work out. So you lay your tracks out first, then move your cow catcher to make it fit.
Yeah, you would actually end up laying it out off track if you
Exactly
didn't do
right,
that.
and it's not on a curve or anything like that. On some of this, especially the carving that's out yonder, I actually added the wheels later. And the reason why is when I cut my cross ties in, I was able to carve my cross ties all the way across what I needed. Then when I put my wheels on, I was able to add spoke. Then you've got an airspace underneath there to create more perspective. It's fun when you can create a hollow place and people say, how did you get that in there? So you just don't tell them. That's all.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
To win that direction.
Can't tell them all the secrets.
Right. All right, and behind the train, of course, is the old western town. There's mountains back here, and it's a matter of laying everything out. Here, we're going to do here, all this is going to have to taper back.
Kind of taper back to the town.
Back to the town, right, from the other side of the track. Now, one thing about when you're using a chisel, as we brought up before, is when you're chiseling, when you're using hand chisels, you're pushing and pulling at the same time. And it will eventually will wear you out. So with the use of a mallet, you can control your cut, and you're not pulling, you're going in one direction at all times. For instance, if you, all right, let me give you here, there's the example right here. The side of the building, this is called a stop cut. This is where you're going to stop the chisel from going in for like in the corner of this building. I'm going straight in, I'm going straight perpendicular to the carving. If you angle it, you undercut. If you go the wrong direction, it causes trouble. And we sure don't want no trouble. All right, now I'm going to angle. See, it stopped that chip from coming out.
Right.
And this is the hardest thing to remember is stop cuts. Another hard thing to remember is an inside corner and an outside corner. Does that make sense? No, not really.
I agree. It doesn't make sense.
But it does. This would be, even though it's an outside corner, it's also an inside corner
Okay.
because you're going in that direction and it stops right there. If I should happen to do, excuse me, right here is an outside corner. It will not require a stop cut because
I see.
that's where you started.
Yeah. And so these are the boards overlapping that
These
are going
the boards,
down the side.
correct, that's right. Now, you noticed I used a gouge rather than a flat chisel. The reason why, because when you use a flat chisel, unless they're sharp and different, you got plow points. If you use a gouge, it's concave,
Right.
and you're able to turn, angle it, stop cuts they can be temperamental.
Yeah.
Some things on stop cuts, here the stop cut will be hidden. If you go too deep and you come back from a different direction, let me show you right here. A stop cut, if it's too deep, it'll unwanted police say, now, you're going back. So what have you got? Oh, you got a line there that you got to get out. Especially if you stain it, that's going to pop out like anything.
Right.
So if your stop cut goes too deep, then you got to go deeper in order to get that out. And some places just won't will not allow it because you're already into some other piece on there that you shouldn't be working with.
So you need to make sure you stop your stop cuts.
Stop
at the
your
right.
stop cut, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, what a process, and that is just going to be beautiful.
Once you get it carved, then you got to go back and clean up everything.
Mm-hmm.
You got little fuzzies. You got marks here that you need to get out because they wouldn't be on there. Some things do have carving marks.
Is there a secret to getting rid of the fuzzies? And
Oh yes. I'm glad you asked. It's mechanical now.
all right, okay.
Let me borrow just a minute. It's called a scuff pad. You may have used these.
Oh yeah, Scotch-Brite pad.
Scotch-Brite. Oh, right here in a minute. Like this right here.
Oh yeah.
And they're put into a grinder or a Fordham. Oh, here we go. There's one already just about gone in there. And taking that itself and going over these right here will take these scuff marks right out of there. Using a foot control on when you're doing this, you can control the speed of it quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh mama.
It does a good job on that part right there. But then again, like I say, be careful.
Right, yes.
You can take off too much.
That is tremendous. It really is.
Then always the main thing is, if you have a line, you carve it out, put it back. That's the hardest thing to do. I kid people about when in class. I says, now if you see that line, if I come by and that line's not there, it costs you 50 cents. We put it in this jar right here, and that's how I pay for my gas money. I don't ever charge it, don't ever collect, but it gets the idea across when you've got to keep your pencil marks. Keep your pencil marks on there. Keep your, they're reference points is what they are. And the more reference you have, sometimes the better you are.
I'll tell you what, Randy, I have learned so much that I'm going to take back to the kind of furniture sculpture that I do. All of these things can transfer.
Yes, sir. Right, they do. Every time you do something, whether it's in the round or this right here, you put them together.
Yeah. What an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for sharing with us and having us out.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. It's been an honor. Thank you very much.
Improve your woodworking experience. Sign up for Wood News Online, a monthly newsletter showcasing the latest news, tips, and classes Highland Woodworking has to offer. By signing up, you'll receive the latest episode of the Highland Woodworker, special store promotions, and Wood News Online delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up today.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of the Highland Woodworker. Be sure to check us out on social media, and until next time, I'm Charles Brock, and I'm a Highland Woodworker.